Before I was in China, I had so many misconceptions about China. I just had this idea about what China was like from the media. And the media is like so many negative stories about China. So I just wanted to see what is it really like? What is the situation really like? Hi guys, so my name is Rich. I'm founder of China Admissions, and I'm going to introduce why I started China Admissions and why I came to China. And I'm going to introduce 3 different stories. This is the first story which kind of influenced me and made me interested in entrepreneurship. So when I was at school, I was like 15, and at that time I was starting to go out, go to parties, and also had a girlfriend. I wanted to have more money at the time. Yeah, so I actually took different jobs. So I actually started to work in a pub. Many people do that, and I also started to work in a supermarket because I just really wanted to have more money. And I also didn't really want to ask my parents for more money. I wanted to have my own money myself. So I started working, and I felt like I was working quite hard. I was also wanting to study, but I realized it wasn't very good for me to be working and studying. Also, I felt frustrated by the work because I felt like it was meaningless and it was a waste of myself. So after like 2 months of working, I had a bit of money, but I decided to stop because I thought it was impacting my school and it wasn't very good for me in the long term. So at that time I had a few friends at school, and we were talking about eBay and how can we make money, and we bought products from different countries and we started buying and selling online. And this is when I realized the amazing potential of creating a business that can work online. It was just a massive moment for me to have that experience. It was really motivating to think about ideas. I really enjoyed the marketing side of it. I really enjoyed how can you design something that is interesting and appealing for people. I felt like I was learning by creating something. It kind of made me feel really alive to be doing it, because when I'm in classes I just felt like I'm receiving information, I'm doing it for exam. It didn't feel as exciting, but when I was creating this I just felt like I'm really learning, and it was just amazing to be doing that. Basically when I was doing that I just didn't feel like it was working. I just felt like it was having fun because I was doing it with friends who were cool and interesting and smart, and I felt like I was just learning useful skills that would be useful for my life. The second story is why I came to China, because I studied at Exeter University. I studied politics, philosophy, economics, and I was sitting in all of my classes, and I basically realized that in politics, philosophy and economics, in these 3 subjects, the most interesting part of what I was studying was China. And I felt like I really wanted to learn more about China. I was sitting in an economics class and my teacher was telling me we were reading stories about factories in China and how incredible and interesting it is, and it made me realize that we are really connected to China, but we didn't realize it. We are living in one way in the UK, and that is because all of the goods are being made in China, really connected to our economy. It's really important to have an understanding of it. And also I felt like if I want to understand something, then it's quite difficult to learn about it in books. I just felt like I needed to be in China and to really experience what it was like. And this is what I realized, is it's totally different to what you expect, because China is changing so fast, and many of the things we were learning about were even 2 or 3 years old, and that is a lifetime in how fast things are changing in China. So I really wanted to go there and just explore and just learn by myself. And I also felt like Chinese would be a really useful language, because I was looking in my university, I was looking at everyone was learning European languages, but I didn't understand why not more people were learning Chinese, because it's going to be so important in the future, isn't it? This huge economy, so many people, it's growing so fast, and if I can speak Chinese, it's going to give me opportunities, it's going to open doors. And at that time I wasn't actually planning to stay in China for so long. I was planning to be a lawyer in UK, and I just thought if I can speak Chinese, it's definitely going to be useful. If I can understand this culture, it's going to be useful for my career. It's much more about the experiences you have, going to a different country and just experiencing and meeting the people. There's a lot of people that don't understand different cultures. The reason they don't understand cultures is because they haven't been there. And before I was in China, I had so many misconceptions about China. We have so many Chinese people in my school. I knew so many Chinese people, but my perception of them was so different to what it was when I came to China. It's I just had this idea about what China was like from the media, and the media is so many negative stories about China. Even then it was not really that clear. Yeah, so I just wanted to see what is it really like? What is the situation really like? It was amazing when I came, because this was in 2007, and there's so much energy in China. It was moving so quickly. This just before the Olympics, and it was such an amazing experience. Just being in one culture the whole time, you don't appreciate like how rich different cultures are, how rich the world is, and also like how different cultures think. We think in one way and the other culture thinks in another way. It's not like one is right, one is wrong. It's like there's so many different ways to think about different things. Really important that students can have the opportunities to study in different cultures and really experience it. I'm going to introduce a few of the pictures and some of my experiences in China. So I studied in Peking University, which is the top university in China, and was like joint with Tsinghua University. And it was amazing just to be surrounded by so many super smart people. They just get ridiculous exam results in the high school grades. Yeah, so I was studying Chinese and it was just like amazing, that whole experience. And then after that, I felt like I wanted to have more of an experience in China. I wanted to see like what is China really like. I wanted to go like outside of Beijing because I felt like Beijing is like the capital city, but other places are completely different. So I wanted to experience it. So I went to like a really remote place to teach English in this like amazing school for 2 months. I just had this experience where I was the only foreigner in this city, and I was teaching English in this school which had like 8,000 students, and I was basically like overtime working all the time, like helping students to learn English. And in my class there was like 300, 400 students in the class, and I had the opportunity at the end to give a speech to 8,000 students, like the whole school. I gave that in Chinese, which was really cool. I was learning that speech for quite a while, and I was like giving them a story about some people that I've met in Beijing and their experience in China. Here are some photos about my experience there. So I had a lot of friends who came to visit. I had a friend from UK who came to visit. It was just amazing, like some of the things that we did there. Like we had like an American friend and we were giving debates about what is best out of UK and America, and it was like really cool just to have that. Yeah, when we were going around the town, locals were so friendly and so interested in my story and about me, and it was great to like be able to practice Chinese. Yeah, so like this is a picture of like us just getting a lift in a tractor, which is quite random. We just asked if we can get a lift in a tractor, and we were just talking to the driver, and it was like a really warm, amazing place to be. Yeah, and then after that I was like visiting factories. I wanted to learn more about factories and how they work. I learned so much in that experience about China, and I met so many amazing, interesting people. I also did like a tea course and studied Chinese tea, which is like a great way to learn Chinese because it's like a really important part of the culture. When I was coming back to UK, I was planning to be a lawyer because this is like the plan that I always thought, and I just thought like I'm going to China to have this experience of China, learn Chinese, and then be a lawyer in UK. And I was interviewing at some different law firms. When they were asking me the questions, I realized that I just didn't want to be a lawyer because I felt like there was not the potential. I just felt like I knew what the track would be, and I just knew what the limit would be, and I knew like the path very clearly. And after my experience in China, I just realized that it was really important to help more international students to have this experience. I wanted to come back to China, and I realized that it's like so meaningful to help more students to experience China and to understand China. Actually, it's really difficult for students to understand what it's like in China. It's really difficult for students to apply to the universities, to get the information about the universities, because the information is difficult, the communication method is difficult. So also when I was in China, I had started helping like a lot of friends to study in China, and also had universities who wanted to recruit international students because they have a lot of pressure to recruit international students. At that time I was like doing marketing for a lot of companies and doing my own consulting, like marketing for different companies, and I also did some like inventing and working with an inventor as well at the same time. So gradually over time, like I started helping like a university to recruit more international students. We just expanded to help more universities, and then over time we created the platform, which is for international students to choose any courses and to apply to any university. Because when we're helping the other universities, the students always have the questions about, oh, can I apply to this other program? Can I apply to this other university? And I realized there's like such a problem and such a difficulty for students to apply. So that's why we created this platform, which is China Admissions. And on China Admissions, you can basically go through the platform and you can search all of the programs in China. You can find the information for free on the platform, and then you can apply for free. How are we free? So we're free because we're funded by universities in China, and we are like growing very rapidly, even during COVID-19. So yeah, I'm going to share more videos. If you're interested in these kind of topics or you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I hope this can maybe inspire some people who are not sure about what they want to do in the future to be bold and to go out there and look at all of the opportunities there are around the world. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a nice day.